Hi, friends. It's Chris Post, journalistsafety.com. I wanted to talk a little bit about the video that's circulating around the internet today that was posted on Twitter sometime early this morning of a reporter, a multimedia journalist in West Virginia, who was hit by a car while they were doing a live shot at the site of a water main break. They were standing alongside a road, and it looked like a vehicle that was passing through the area clipped the reporter and knocked her over. So there's quite a bit of discussion going on right now about this on social media, on Twitter. And I thought it would be a good idea so we can kind of take a look at this and sort of pick apart some elements of this in the name of safety for journalists. One of the most dangerous things next to a door knock that a journalist can do is to do a solo live shot. In a situation where a multimedia journalist is working by themselves, they're setting up their own equipment, they're fixing their lights, they're working on a variety of other things in order to do a live shot. What happens is they're distracted. And they're distracted by the simple fact that they are trying to make their equipment work. They're trying to set up all these things that they need, these elements of the live shot. And that forces them to lose situational awareness of things that are happening around them. It's a very, very dangerous position that we find ourselves in, especially in a situation where we're alongside a road. We're in an area that is dangerous, whether it's dark or whether it's even in an urban environment where there's no disaster or water main break happening. We're in a position where we're vulnerable. And with that vulnerability, it is exploited by the fact that we are focusing on looking at a camera. We've got a big bright light in our face, and that allows us, it promotes us to lose situational awareness. And if you've listened to any of my videos or you heard me talk, I talk a lot about this concept of situational awareness, being aware of those things around us that can affect us. And it allows us to make a judgment call based on the things that we see. An approaching vehicle, if there was maybe additional crew members there at the scene, somebody may have seen that vehicle coming proactively and said, hey, move out of the way, or quickly grab the reporter and pull them off of camera to get them out of harm's way. So all of these things together compound the problem where journalists are vulnerable. Multimedia journalists especially, you're working by yourself. You're in a situation that's not appropriate to try to promote safety. The situation's bad and it could potentially get worse. In this case, it almost cost somebody their life. So what can we do in situations like this? Well, first of all, proactive safety is incredibly important for journalists. Allowing your field crews to say no to assignments when there's no way of being able to do it safely. That's something I'm looking at you news directors. I'm looking at you managers who put people into these positions. Yes, it will be unavoidable at times. Yes, it will be risky at times. We're never going to get away from that. But what we can do is we can try to mitigate risk. We can mitigate risk by allowing our field crews to say no to assignments or to trust them when they say, hey, there's no way we can do this safely. There are times that we can make it safe. There are times that we can use things to our advantage. Another crew person, having a dedicated, photojournalist to be out there with the reporter working the live shot. Those are all elements that make the job a little bit safer. So again, proactive versus reactive. What can we do to make the situation safer? We can do things like use our vehicle to block oncoming traffic. We can use things like illuminating lights on a vehicle, yellow lights, much like a construction vehicle uses to illuminate our news vehicle, to try to make the visibility of our live shot and where we're at and where we're working that much more aware to any other motorists or anybody else who may be in the area. Let's go out into the field and take a look at what we can do, skills that will allow us to work safer, work smarter, not harder, and to be proactive about our safety versus being reactive for when something happens and we have to manage it. I'm going to take you out into my neighborhood where I live here in Pennsylvania, and I'm going to set up sort of a mock live shot location. And I'm going to talk about some elements, some things that I incorporate into my safety practices. Some of these safety practices are things that I've adopted and I've learned over the years from when I used to work in public safety. Positioning a vehicle to block oncoming traffic is something that I'll show you in the video. Let's go out and take a look. All right, so we're back. We're in an area very close to my home here in Pennsylvania, and I picked this location because I wanted to highlight and explain some of my thought process behind setting up a live shot in an area where there is heavy road traffic. And in this case, I'm in an industrial area. You can see a tractor trailer is going by right now. And I wanted to try to talk through some of my methodology when it comes to being proactive versus being reactive when setting up a live shot. So one of the first things you're going to notice is I'm wearing a reflective vest. This isn't just any reflective vest. This is an ANSI compliant, DOT approved reflective vest. Several years ago, almost a decade at this point, Department of Transportation regulations said that anybody working on a federally funded road has to wear a vest like this. So that includes journalists, that includes tow truck drivers, police, fire, construction workers, anybody who's working on the side of a road or on a federally funded highway anywhere is required to wear one of these vests for their protection. It's your station's requirement to supply you with personal protective equipment like this. You should always wear a vest. I know it doesn't always look the best on camera, but this is a safe bet to try to increase your visibility when you're doing a live shot in a very precarious location, like along the side of an active roadway. The other thing that you're going to notice is a vehicle over here. I have to use another camera to show this, but over here is my personal truck. And there's a couple things that you're going to notice about it. So I'm going to walk over here and show you. So you're going to see a couple of things, including emergency warning lights. So these are orange or amber lights, very similar to what a construction crew would use to mark their location on a highway. This is perfectly legal for anybody to use on their vehicle. I also have my four-way flashers on. This is important. Let's take another look around this vehicle. Get kind of close to the roadway here. You'll notice this vehicle is parked on a bit of an angle. Come back here to the original live shot location. You can see where my camera is, but then you can also see how this vehicle's parked on a bit of an angle to act as a blockade should somebody not pay attention to the fact that I'm along the side of the road. I'd rather have somebody plow in to my vehicle than plow into my live shot location. So this is a look from the rear. You see I have amber warning lights up top here. I have my four-ways on, and the vehicle is parked on an angle. At no point can you see my live shot location. But as I step out into the roadway, you can kind of see where I'm set up. So it's protected by my vehicle. I'd much rather have to replace a vehicle than get hit by an oncoming car. And this works if you want to be able to work out of the back of your vehicle, that's fine. You can flip-flop the vehicle so the rear or the trunk would be facing towards the camera position, and looking this way is where the headlights would be shining. So these are some tips, some things that work well for me. Over the years, these are things that I picked up. This is nothing that I learned being a journalist. These are all skills, these are all tips that I learned as an emergency responder. The same way my vehicle is parked today is the exact same way I would park my ambulance if there was a car accident here that I was responding to. I use the vehicle as a blockade, so should somebody come up from behind and rear-end it, they're not going to hit me, they're going to hit the vehicle and crash into that. So thinking about what we can do to be proactive versus being reactive, and that's a huge part of a safety strategy. Using something as simple as an ANSI compliant reflective vest goes a long way. Yeah, there are challenges with this because at night, yeah, it is reflective. So if you're setting up lights for a multimedia journalist to do a live hit, it's going to cause some problems. But these are some things that we can do to be proactive versus reactive. I hope these tips help. Visit me online, journalistsafety.com. This is Chris Post with the International Media Support Group.